Feliz Navidad, fellas.
Oh my gosh, Jim.
Wow.
I'm trying to change it up
Jim.
a bit.
All right, let's try that again.
Cut.
All right. Take 2. And we're live on One Decent Pastor.
That's
We
better. Thank
have
you.
had that, believe it or not, sung on a Sunday morning during worship.
Oh, really?
Yes, I won't say who.
Well,
I have an idea.
No one watches this. So.
it became a tradition we didn't ask for, I would say. Showed up at the end of maybe 2 or 3 Christmas sermons at the old building when we were still over there.
Well, and we were a congregation of strictly white Caucasians, and it was just odd.
Now we've got now we're diverse.
At least we have Lily,
We've got Costa
so
Rican.
we could sing it now, and it'll
Yeah.
be justified. It was weird though when it first got sung. It was like, "Are we doing this right now?"
Yeah,
It was weird.
yeah.
Yeah, well, here we are.
Here we
That
are.
would be a good topic. That would be like least favorite Christmas song.
That would be.
Yeah.
We should have done that.
Because I just said to my wife today, I really don't like that song. It's a Paul McCartney song, and if I say it, it'll stick in your head. But
Guess what? I just talked about the Iron Horse when I was
Yeah.
walking through there the other day.
Simply having a wonderful Christmas.
That was
time.
playing, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't stop.
It is one of the.
I remember
worst
thinking to
songs.
myself at one point, "What has this song always been this long?" Because it was just tough to hear.
It's long and it's a sticker. I mean,
Yeah.
once you get it in there,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
you
there to
will
stay
not,
for a
you will
while.
not get it out.
So
It'll
we're
just-
ranking the Christmas songs here on the podcast.
No, that's a bad one. And there's another one
What
by
if someone watching really is fond of it?
It's okay. They're wrong.
They are wrong.
And
It's a horrible
they should
song.
they should
I don't know
repent.
what McCartney was thinking.
Yeah, they
at
should
that point.
repent.
Yeah.
There's also one by Wham that's also pretty bad, but I can't think of it right now.
Yep. I have it in my head right now. I'm singing it,
Yeah, I
and
don't
I'm
think I
not.
know
But
that one.
I'm not going to give it to you
Yeah.
because my wife used to like it. and hear
Okay.
it. In fact, she had it on the other day.
All right.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Let's talk about drones.
We could do a Festivus episode. Where
Airing of the grievances.
airing of the grievances. That's what I feel like I'm doing right now.
We're going to need a poll.
We are like
Festivus
the
poll
longer we
for the
do
feats
this,
of strength.
like the more cynical and just poopy we get. People are going to be like, "What happened to you guys? Like, who hurt you?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Pretty funny.
I remember growing up, me and my grandpa used to sing "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer,"
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and that's like, it's not great, but like it's nostalgic because my grandpa was a jokester, and like this is what we did every year.
So we have an animatronic that was given to us years ago. It's a reindeer in a rocking chair.
Yeah,
And you push the button, and the reindeer rocks as it sings that song. And so that's all that that Serene's been doing is running around the house. She'll bring it out to the living room and like push the button and,
That's funny.
and then walk away. And I'll take it and I'll like hide it. I'll be like, "Nope," and then it'll end up back in the
She'll
living
find
room
it.
like 5 minutes later, and she's not even there. But the batteries get low on it really fast,
good.
and it sounds demonic. Like so then
the
you
batteries
have
die?
then you have Grandma Got Ran Over by a Reindeer, like in this voice that's
Right.
like possessed, and it's really bad, dude.
Yeah, we had that last year when Sam had
Yeah.
one of you squeeze the hand or something, and,
Yeah.
and he loved it.
Fun stuff.
Couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah, I'd put that on my worst Christmas songs list too, just because I have to hear it all the time.
right.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yep.
But one day it'll be nostalgic for you.
I don't know, Chad. I don't know.
No, I don't think it will. But I'm glad it is for you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What have you been eating all week?
lots of pizza rolls.
I bet.
Yeah, my wife's been gone, and so
Oh.
I can eat whatever I want and watch whatever I want.
Stay up as late as I want. Don't have to shower.
I stay up as late as I want anyway. That's normal.
You can eat whatever you want, and you've chosen pizza rolls.
Sometimes it just scratches an itch.
What are you-
Little
what are you,
Totino's pizza
10?
rolls.
I'm with Chad. I would
Yeah.
probably go.
I mean, it's not an everyday thing. But
I would probably go pizza every day if my wife.
But I
was
bought a bag the other day at the store. I forget what day it was. Anyway, I bought a bag and I had pizza rolls for lunch, and then I finished them off for dinner.
Yeah.
The rest of the bag.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
When she come back?
Saturday.
Nice.
Saturday, and then I had a few evening kind of meetings this week that involved food, so that just kind of worked out well.
Nice.
But you know, I tried. Our dishwasher's broke right now, and so I've been trying not to pile up the dishes, and so I've used one plate the whole time.
You've washed it between pizza roll sessions.
Well, not between pizza roll sessions.
The house stays cleaner when everyone's gone, right?
Right.
No,
Right.
it's
It
true. You
does.
clean it once and that's it. You're
Well,
done.
you just
never have to
you
clean it
don't.
again.
I don't mess it up.
Yeah.
That's the key. Is
No,
not to
it's-
mess.
So,
Everyone, yeah.
so let me see if I get this straight. What you're saying is that Jill is
I'm not going there.
Okay.
I'm just saying that.
Well, you already
I don't-
did.
I don't tend to make messes
okay.
that need to be cleaned up. That's all I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah, we
Yeah.
went to Ty and Leah's last night for dinner. They invited us to dinner, and she made chicken marsala, and it was absolutely
Delicious.
incredible.
Good.
Incredible. Yep. So
Very cool.
I don't know why I said that,
Yeah.
but it made me happy.
We
All
were
right,
talking-
let's move on.
Yeah.
We're eating well. What's new with you fellas?
Nothing.
We both woke up feeling like we
Yeah.
got beat up last night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Feeling-
that was me last week.
yeah,
Yeah, feeling dazed, a little hazy.
dazed and
Yeah.
confused.
Yep.
Well, hopefully that'll pass.
Nothing weird going on with me other than the last minute hustle and bustles of Christmas. Trying to
Yeah.
remember everything. So yeah.
I got nothing.
You shopped for your wives yet?
Wrapped everything yesterday, actually.
Wow.
Well done.
I got a couple smaller things to get, but yes, primarily done. Because I have to do 2. Christmas and then the day after his birthday.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have to get super creative, innovative.
That makes sense.
Got my Christmas card from Jay. So Jay, if you're watching or
Jay, I did
listening,
not get mine from you
it
yet.
showed up in the mail. I grabbed it
And
this
Chad
morning.
hasn't gotten his yet either.
Shout
No,
out. Thank
I've been
you.
looking for it.
Thank you, Jay. Made my day.
Jay from Maryland,
Yep.
Yeah.
shipping us cards. All right.
All right. Should we get into
Yeah,
it?
let's go.
Do
Let's
it,
do
man.
let's do this.
We're doing Bears, Beets, Battlestar Galactica, and Baha'i today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So discerning viewers will have a clue of what we might be talking about.
Just discerning.
Beet farms.
Right, right. So you recently, David, you turned us on to this. You listened to a podcast episode from Gavin Ortland, and he was talking about this interview with Rainn Wilson, who's the actor that plays Dwight Schrute.
Do you know there's a
on The
picture of
Office.
him hanging in Snowcap in Sisters, the restaurant? The
I heard
burger
about
joint?
that. I didn't, yeah, I
Yeah,
heard about
he
it.
did like a write up on it.
He's
once,
got a
like-
property in Sisters. or
Yeah,
in
one of
Sisters
his
area.
one of his favorite places in Oregon. He said was Snowcap.
Yeah.
It was like a little Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, there's a story. I can't remember the details of it, but there's a story of something with him and a forest ranger, and like I can't remember if he saved a guy's life or I don't know. There's some kind of story that happened with him and Sisters that made some news, maybe like 8 or 10 years ago. I don't know. It's been a little while. Anyway, I almost wore a short sleeve shirt and a tie today. I thought about it, and then
Parted your hair in the middle.
right, yeah,
That would have been rad.
yeah, it would have been,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't. Anyway, Rainn Wilson is he's of the Baha'i faith, which I don't know a whole lot about. I don't know if you guys know more about it than I do. I did a little wiki search on Baha'i and what it is, and so just kind of a few quick snippets about the Baha'i faith. According to Wikipedia, it's a monolithic or monotheistic, not monolithic.
It's a monolith.
Just a giant rock.
Yeah.
Monotheistic
Odyssey.
religion that originated in Iran in the 19th century. It's one of the fastest growing religions in the world, according to Wiki, with millions of followers across the globe.
It came out of Islam, and there's a similarity to it. They would kind of claim a kinder, gentler version of the Islam faith, but it is linked to that.
So no
sim-
holy wars in the Baha'i
Yeah,
faith?
similar to like Christianity and Judaism, you've got Baha'i and Islam, for what it's worth.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they believe, again, according to Wiki, in the unity of all people and all religions, and that all religions have a common foundation.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, the
so-
Pope believes that now too. So
Evidently.
I did see something about that.
actually, that idea has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it wasn't known as Baha'i, like universalism. But
Right. They have a belief of equality, the equality for all people, that men and women should have equal opportunities. They believe in tolerance, challenging the prejudices of all kinds, and in respecting religious culture and diversity. And then they believe in the oneness of God, that all the founders of major religions, including Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and the Baha'i faith, follow the same God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even that all the main guys throughout history, whether it's Abraham or Jesus or Buddha or whoever, that they were all basically prophets of this one God, and that they all had a consistent kind of message, but that the followers are the ones that screwed it up. Kind of that's a bit of an idea of what they believe, which is got some problems, which we'll talk
Got
about.
some problems.
Yeah. Yeah, so Rain was on this podcast, just kind of unpacking some of his thoughts on the world and
of course,
religion. And
I think everybody knows where Rainn Wilson's from, right?
No, but he did say Dwight Schrute.
Okay. The Office.
So,
The
yes. So the most important part of the podcast is, what do you like about The Office?
Oh. No. Well, it's actually funny. I'm not a big fan of comedies, as these guys know. I'm just not wired that way. I find most stuff not funny, but The Office is stinking funny. Funniest show ever.
It's probably, I mean, definitely there's been unique shows throughout history,
Yeah.
but to me that was the kind of one that was extremely different than everything else, and had holding power for me anyway. That I always hate to talk about stuff like this because there's somebody out there that's gonna be like, you guys are pastors and you like The Office, and it's like, yeah, we do.
It's a top 5 for me, for sure.
Yeah. I think that if you don't like The Office, you can't be a pastor.
I don't think that's in 1 Timothy.
So much of the awkwardness that you will experience in ministry that's kind of a training ground for it.
Well, and that takes us to what I don't like about The Office.
Yeah.
Is that I have never felt that stressed out in my own living
So
room.
good. So good.
Like Michael Scott, some of the stuff he does.
So good.
I mean,
Causes
I
you
feel
anxiety.
anxiety watching the show.
That's the point.
It shouldn't be like
And
that.
that's what makes it actually funny
Yeah.
too. Like the unpredictability of the honest situations
Yeah.
and the awkward situations. You just can't.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you have a favorite episode or a favorite character?
I like the Count Choculatus one. I forget what season and episode it was, but they were having to like update. They were doing something with the insurance, like an insurance policy.
They had to pick a health plan.
for the health plan for the. So they're like making up conditions.
Well, Michael didn't want to do it, so he put Dwight in charge of it.
I just can't get enough of that episode. It's fantastic.
Hot dog.
And
dog
Ryan
fingers.
started the fire was pretty good
Yeah.
too. Actually, parcours was pretty
Hardcore parkour.
There's a lot. There's a lot of.
It's too hard to name
there's
one
too many.
because
Yeah,
there's so many
it's
good
hard
ones.
to
The same
nail
with
down.
characters. There's it's easier for me to name the characters I don't care for.
Yeah.
There's that Packer guy. I never liked Andy.
No.
Yeah.
Andy's not my favorite, and I don't like the redheaded British lady. But everybody else that's on that show has been just like.
It's a pretty remarkable cast.
I mean, even
They-
somebody like Creed or
Yeah.
Meredith, or they're just.
No, that's why when you ask like who's your favorite character,
Stanley.
I had a hard time because
Yeah.
it's just too much, dude.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's one of the best ensemble casts.
Yeah.
Like
I
every
would agree
person
with
has
that.
has an important
For
part.
sure.
Cheers was kind of that way too. Even like
Yeah.
some of the little sub characters and
Sure.
stuff were they really added something to it.
for sure. So I will give Seinfeld that too. It's some of the side characters that they would bring in were interesting.
Seinfeld's another top 5 for me.
Mark that down.
Not me,
David
but
said something good about Seinfeld.
I just
Yeah.
paid it a compliment. Yes,
did?
I did. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. Office was classic.
Yeah. Yeah, so it had its good moments and its bad moments, but yeah, definitely unique and funny in its own right. So Dwight Schrute is the Rainn Wilson character. He actually played in a show called Backstrom after The Office, where he was like a private eye, and I think it was based in Portland, if I remember. Right. It only lasted 1 season, but he was a totally different character, just kind of like gritty, and, in the shadows, and just not Dwight Schrute.
And at least one
all.
person watched that show.
Yes, I watched it.
Because I've never heard of it.
He ate pizza rolls and watched it.
I did eat pizza rolls. Yeah. So anyway, he had some interesting thoughts to share on this podcast. So the podcast that we listened
And
to.
he was an atheist.
Yeah, he was an atheist that's now kind of become spiritual.
Well, he was
or religious.
He was raised in the Baha'i faith, then kind of became atheistic, and then went back to the Baha'i faith. So he was, and he was actually being interviewed on Alex O'Connor. I don't know if you guys are
Yes.
familiar with this guy.
That guy's no longer an atheist.
Well, he still says he is.
Oh, I've heard him say he's not.
Well, he's called
All
the
right.
cosmic skeptic. He's
Yes.
got he goes back and forth, I think. But
He's a
lot,
Brit,
a lot
right?
of people, he's a Brit, and he's really intelligent.
Yep, he is.
But he's doing the interview with, I want to call him Dwight Schrute because he is Dwight.
Dwight.
Yeah, he's interviewing Dwight.
He's doing
about
an
this.
interview with the assistant to the regional
Yes. Yeah.
manager.
Here we go.
That's how he introduces himself.
And then Gavin just kind of chimes in about little bits
Yes.
and pieces of it. So
Yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of a short podcast from Gavin that we listened to. But anyway, I had some interesting points and some things that we thought might be helpful to talk about and unpack today. And
I wonder
one-
how much if this faith is like growing. Like, is this like growing among the growing?
said it was one of the fastest growing religions
I didn't look into it
in the
that
world.
much, so.
Yeah.
I think it's appealing in the sense that it sounds like it's
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 all inclusive.
It's inclusive,
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and it's
It's unifying.
unifying.
Right.
And, I mean,
It-
when you on the face value, it sounds very appealing. But again, we'll get into why it's got problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One of the things that Gavin mentions just from the outset is that he appreciates how Wilson speaks respectfully to and about others. And,
Which Gavin would know because that's one of his specialties.
he does that as well, right?
Yeah.
And he's, he debates people and does so with charity and,
Yeah, he's great.
displaying, kindness and those kinds of things. And I think that's something that's just lost today.
Yeah. I feel dirty whenever I watch him. Like, I love Gavin. I watch him
Yeah.
all the time, but I feel completely like a failure when I watch him because the dude is so kind. He's so charitable.
Well, yeah, I've seen you be that way.
Okay, but it's not my normal mode. Let's say that. Like, I can be
I would say
very
that
sarcastic.
It seems
and
pretty normal to me.
I can take my little hits and my little punches on people and, not even know I've done it.
I've
That
seen-
dude's rad.
I've seen both.
Yeah, and so I think sometimes we're afraid to engage people that think differently than us because we've lost, kind of societally this ability to do so with kindness and with charity.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that maybe have some hesitancy or some trepidation to engage people that think differently than they do? Like, what encouragement would you give people in ways that you can engage people with kindness and with charity that you disagree with?
Yeah, for me, I would say, we shouldn't be threatened by it. I think some people have this kind of thing. Well, if they don't see it my way, if they don't agree with me, I've got to fight, this fight kind of thing. It's like you don't. I'm kind of surprised if people see it my way, especially when it comes to Christianity. If I'm talking to somebody and they come around to my way of thinking, that's kind of rare and unusual. So I don't start out with this idea that you're going to win somebody over immediately. Maybe God is doing something and you will, but for the most part, I kind of expect people to disagree with me, and that's okay. I don't, I disagree with people all the time, and that's part of the human condition. We're not always going to see things eye to eye, and the way we treat each other in the midst of that is important.
Was in a coffee shop the other day with a brother, and someone had come up that had noticed that we had a Bible and this and that. Oh, what church? And pastor over here, and then it was clear that this person also went to church. So I asked what church, and it was a Christian sect that I have a lot of issues with, as far as even the founder and how it was founded, and a lot of the teachings and the distinctives, and they were so slow in this place that conversation turned into probably a half hour, 40-minute conversation with her standing there. And when she went to leave, it was as if she had never had a conversation like that before, because she was raised in this denomination, never heard of anything else. So she was dyed in the wool, like, this is what we should all believe, this is biblical. It's like, no, there's other things,
Right.
And when she went to leave, she said that was really cool that we could just talk about something and even disagree on some of these things, but that were cool with each other. Like, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's unexpected, isn't it?
And that's just the way that it should be, as far as humanity's concerned with about anything.
Well, and hopefully we get to the point where we see the person that's there and care about them enough to
I hope so.
Not just look at it as a topic
Right.
or
Especially for the Christian, right? Because
Yeah.
we're trying to win a soul, not an argument.
Right.
And in order to do that, the tactics have to be different
Sure.
than what you would employ in an argument.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Gavin points out, just that his respect for Rainn Wilson for being able to do that. And then Gavin goes on to say that the world is a better place when religious and irreligious people can speak to one another without scorn and with compassion.
Yeah.
And so we would all do well to try to, make that our aim.
Yeah, let's see some Democrats and Republicans do that.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Christian Republicans.
Christian Republicans.
It seems like, the headlines that catch our attention are about, this person owns that person, or this person brings fire to this person or destroys them or whatever, and those are the things that get clicks that catch our attention. And for Christians, we ought to live differently in the world, and probably should be more the norm that we can engage with people that think differently than us in a surprising and an unexpected sort of way.
Well, even if you're clicking on one of those headlines, watch so-and-so get destroyed by so-and-so, you're not not clicking on that to learn something. You're not
Right.
clicking on that to try to understand where they're coming from. You're like, there's something enjoyable about that to you that
Yeah, for sure.
you want to see this.
Yeah,
this
it's
tape
entertaining
down.
even,
Yeah,
you know.
and I think that there's something kind of
Morbid?
morbid about that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, so he just kind of starts off with, giving props to Wilson, for that. But then he kind of gets in, to some of the meat of the conversation. And one of the things that, that Wilson talks about is this oneness of religion, oneness of God, oneness of humanity. And the example that they use is this, like an iPhone that keeps getting updates and keeps kind of being made better. Mm-hmm. And the idea is this successive unfolding of truth. And so, the idea, I think I don't know if this is specific to Baha'i, it might be, but kind of the idea that they unpack is this idea that religion is progressively being updated, kind of as new thoughts come out or new beliefs come out as time goes on. And what would we have to say about that idea?
Yeah, so the idea is there's one true God and one true religion, even though
and one identical truth,
even though we think we're seeing 1,000 religions.
Right.
They're actually one, going to the same place, looking to the same God, but they're just in different phases or evolutions of their discovery of that one God and one religion. So that's how they explain the fragmentation, the contradictions, the separations between what we think are religions, is because everyone's just in a different phase. Not that they actually disagree; they just don't know.
And we're all moving
that they all
towards
agree.
the same.
We're
thing,
all moving towards the same thing.
Yeah,
sounds wonderful.
I don't remember if it was in the Gavin video or the Alex one, but Dwight went into this kind of a thing where he said Christianity, when it started for the first 200 years,
it was in the
was a certain way. Basically they were inclusive, they were tolerant, everybody could come in. It didn't matter whether you were a slave or he was saying things that were true, but he was acting like then it changed after 200
years.
Years
acting
where
like it stopped,
where it became exclusive after that. And it's like, well, it was always the same.
He's probably
way.
referring to like Constantine and some of maybe what went on there, but Christianity by nature has always been outward and inclusive of everybody.
Right. But at the same time, it's also stood for something exclusive as well. And that's the point that he was just ignoring. And it's like, well, you're keying in on this beautiful part of Christianity where there is equality.
Yeah.
God wants, regardless of who you are, poor, rich, the underdog, whoever it is, the widow, the orphan, it's very much that way, but he was ignoring.
Well, if you look at the blood trail,
tenets.
right? I think Gavin brought some of that up. If you look at the blood trail in the early church, like Polycarp, I think is one of the people he actually mentioned on the way to his death. We actually have documented what his verbal, audible prayer was out loud on the way to his death, and it was because Christ alone is Lord.
And it was like 80,
Jesus alone is Lord.
80 and 6 years I have served my Lord, or he has never let me down, or something like that. Why would he? I can't remember how it goes, but it was a beautiful.
Yeah,
I just murdered it, but it was
good.
But
the reason they're getting murdered, the early church, is because they refuse to accept other gods outside of Jesus.
Right.
Like Jesus is
because of the
Lord.
exclusivity of
exclusivity. Yes.
Yeah, he wouldn't light incense in a Roman to a Roman god or
No.
something like that. And that was like,
No.
he loses his life for it.
Even like our name, we didn't like pick it because we thought it was cool. I mean, it's John 10:9, right? Like I am the door. He's the access point. It's a statement of exclusivity. And true Christianity's always set it apart. It is exclusive.
Yeah, one of the other things Dwight said. Sorry, I'm just going to go with it.
Let's just roll with Dwight.
He was talking about how you've got like red letter Christians, and basically you can just look at the words of Jesus and you'll come away with a different view of Christianity than if you listen to Christians or if you read the black letters. And it's like, it's just not true. Jesus himself in the red letters said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through me. That's an extremely exclusive statement.
With definite articles. The
only
not,
way.
Not a.
The only
a,
truth.
A, right? And so, and this is where we probably come to the other one, but like someone's right and someone's wrong, right?
Correct.
If Jesus is promoting, just one of the paths up the hill, knowing that we're all going to the same place, why is he actually making statements that contradict that
Yeah.
idea.
It's a whole
Which
different
is-
operating system. It's not an upgrade to an already good operating system. It's
Yeah.
a completely different operating system, and that's the
Even
part.
a whole
It's its
different-
own
a whole
operating
different
system.
device, maybe.
Yeah, a whole
even.
different device.
It's its own
Correct.
Yeah,
operating system.
and Jesus didn't get killed because he helped people or because he cared for the poor or because he promoted widows and orphans and those he didn't get killed for those kinds of things.
Right.
He was killed because of his exclusive claim of being the way, his exclusive claim of being God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's unique to Christianity. And so, speaking of exclusivity, all religions have exclusive claims, right, in one way or another.
Well, they all have absolute claims, right?
Absolute
Yeah.
claims,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And even saying that all religions lead you there, like that's an absolute.
It's an absolute claim. Yeah.
just as much as saying that one religion is the right way,
Yeah.
or gets you there.
I think it's it's put out there as if it's a non-claim. And I think they pat themselves on the back. The universalist idea is this is a non-claim, and it's an absolute claim.
Yeah.
It's an absolute truth to say this is the truth. Always lead
Right.
up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if your claim is broad,
Yes.
right, or whether it's broad or narrow,
You're making a claim.
right, you're making an absolute claim. And so, what is it about Christian? Like, what makes the claims of Christianity different? Maybe a softball question, but what are some of the things that make the claims of Christianity different than every other claim out there?
Well, we just mentioned, I think the biggest one is who the person of Christ is and what the implications of that are. That's pretty unique. I would say maybe the resurrection is the biggest one. That we have a God that's alive rather than dead. I think we're the only religion probably that holds to such a thing.
Right?
And that's quite unique. No?
Well, no, I agree with that. I was thinking of it. Our anthropology is another one in Christianity that might be different in the way we view the lostness of man or the fall of man.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So the problem.
You mean the depravity?
Yeah. So the way we would identify the problem with humanity, and then the way we would identify the solution
Yeah.
for that problem, I would say is probably pretty unique to Christianity as well.
Yeah.
So
I think even that we clearly proven, if people are willing to look at it, have a God that's clearly God, that's outside of time. You know what I mean? He is the Alpha and the Omega because he actually declares the beginning from the end. He's done it over and over again. The Bible's such a unique book due to that. You know what I mean? That other religious writings can be produced, but none of them can match what happens here.
Right. Right.
Because we have a God that clearly is he's not a good guesser, right, or predictor. He's actually determining history as it unfolds.
Yeah, he's in control of it all.
And that's pretty unique and compelling when you look at his track record.
Well, in the Baha'i faith, their view of God is that he's this like a force, or he's it's not a personal God like what we would picture the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's a very impersonal force kind of a thing, very different in that regard too. So
yeah. Well, and the claim of Christianity is that that God has found you.
Yeah.
And the claim of every other religion in the world is here's what you must do
Yeah,
to
you
find
gotta
God or to please God.
Sure.
climb your way to Him.
Right. And so every other religion in the world is what you must do, and Christianity stands alone in saying here's what God has done.
Yeah.
For you
that's
in Christ.
what we celebrate at Christmas, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that he found us, or that he came to us,
came
or that
down.
he initiated when we didn't.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't. So
Yeah. So they talk about exclusivity, and they talk about the law of non-contradiction, meaning that something can't be a thing and not be a thing at the same time, right? And so there's this law of non-contradiction. Jesus can't be the way and a way at the same time, and that's, again, a unique claim of Christianity, that Jesus is the way, the truth, the life.
Well, and the problem doesn't just exist within Christianity. With the Baha'i faith, they're saying that all of these religions, ultimately have an identical truth,
Right.
and it's like, well, they just don't.
no, there's so many
extremely-
contradictions.
Yeah. You can't, you can't all just jump in the pool and get along.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. And so it's a nice idea. I mean, it's I can see why it's appealing to people. It's like, oh, this is beautiful. Doesn't matter what you believe. We're all moving down the same path, and we're all going to the same place. And it's like, well, when you look at what some of these religions teach and believe,
They don't believe the same thing.
they don't believe the same thing at all.
So someone's right and someone's wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
There's contradictions in the way that
Yes.
they're viewing this, and you can't just say, "Hey, we're all the same." We're
Right.
not.
Right. We can't all be right.
No.
Yeah. And that's part of the rub of Christianity is that it says that there is a way that's right.
Yeah.
And then there are every other way that's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, it has the audacity to say this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I am it.
Right.
I mean that's that's pretty bold.
Right.
But if it's true, you have the right to be that bold.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then they get into on this podcast episode a Keller quote that talks about that that if Jesus Christ raised from the dead, everything he says matters. If he didn't raise from the dead, we don't have to pay attention to anything
Totally.
that he said.
Totally.
But if he really did raise from the dead, if the resurrection happened, then we have to pay attention to everything that he said and take everything that he said as being true and right.
Yeah, I don't know if the Baha'i faith denies that. I know Islam denies it.
What, the resurrection?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They just straight up
Yeah,
say
Islam
it didn't
totally
happen.
denies it,
So
yeah.
I'm guessing the Baha'i faith does too, because it does. I mean, somebody comes back from the dead. You probably should listen to
That's
what
not
that. Maybe what he says is true.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. They go on to talk about, like Wilson talks about, makes a statement that the world is falling apart. And the solution, in his estimation, is community, compassion, education, healing, peace, truth, and love.
Yeah. It was painful to hear that.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, I like that he acknowledges the problem. Like the world is falling apart. He sees it, and he doesn't like it. I really did appreciate like his heart towards this. Like
Sure.
we need to do something. This is we're in a situation that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
He gets that part,
Yeah.
and even the stuff he's talking about: community, compassion.
All good things. Right.
Education, growing in your knowledge,
Agreed.
whatever, healing, peace, truth, love. Those are things that you can find within the Christian faith.
But humanity's
Yeah.
been championing those things over and
Yeah.
over again for years to
Correct.
fix the broken world. And
Yeah.
we already know those things in and of themselves fix nothing,
Yeah.
right? Without a component that girds them up.
Right.
Right.
Well, we even misunderstand what those things are,
Yeah.
lacking the proper context. Like what is community,
Right.
for example? The Christian would say that we find community in the church, right, in the fellowship of the saints with one another, whereas we have people in the world that are attaching their identity to all kinds of things and finding their community over identities that ultimately aren't going to deliver for them.
Yeah.
Well, the one word in that statement that it sticks out to me is truth.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
saying the solution is truth, and it's like, well, yeah, it is.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
You can't have real unity, true unity,
Right.
without
Subjective truth or objective truth.
And when you look at the truth claims of Christianity, they are what they are,
Yeah.
and you can't get away from them. And he's not willing to accept those truth claims. So it's like we don't have a lot to go on at that point.
That's, I guess, my point.
Yeah.
Is he's saying everything he says is real and true, except for you have to have one major component to make them all work.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's the one that's missing from the list. Right?
Yep.
So
Even as I think about compassion, like what is compassion?
I don't know.
Like we don't even agree, societally on what compassion to some people is never saying hard things or never telling people that they're wrong.
Right.
Whereas I think we would all agree that sometimes the most compassionate thing to do is to tell people that like they're missing something.
Well,
and
yeah,
not in
to-
a harsh way and not to claw, but just out of love
To do what
people,
Jesus
right?
did is compassion.
Right.
That he came and he spoke
confront with
true
truth.
things.
Yeah.
Right. That's compassion.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And anyone with that kind
Right.
of compassion.
And so there's this idea that when you misdiagnose the problem, then you're not able to arrive at the right solution.
Did I mess something up? Is my thing going? Going?
Yep.
Going, okay.
Your mic is on.
Because I kicked that cord, man. I thought maybe I pulled it loose.
Kick the cord.
Well, I need to tape it up, so I
Oh,
stopped
but-
kicking it.
Well, we'll get to it.
Sorry.
Yeah. But by the way, to backtrack a little bit, I'm going to start referring to my age as 40 and 9 years.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Polycarp did that. So
6 and 80 years. Yeah.
I'm gonna
5 and 0 years. Is that? Can you say?
I'm gonna try to talk one of my kids into naming their kid Polycarp. That's just sick, dude. Polycarp.
Polycarp.
Sounds like a good
Johnson.
name for a fish.
Polycarp's legit. I think he sat under John directly. I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've read that.
I always get him and Tertullian mixed up with.
He was like
with, as far as apostolic
70
fathers, but
to 70 to
Polycarp sat
150.
under the Apostle John.
Yeah.
Learned directly from
70
him.
to 150 AD, I think, is when he lived. So if John lived into his 90s,
Right.
So Yeah, he might have been a teenager or a young man when John discipled him.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't name them like we used to.
No.
Well,
So you're going to bring back Polycarp, or are you going to bring back the name
I can't.
Tertullian?
Chad. I can't bring back Polycarp, but someone can.
That's awesome. If you're going to have a first name Polycarp, you got to have a pretty plain last name like Smith or Jones or something like that.
Polycarp Smith.
Yeah, that kind of works. Anywho, this idea that if you don't diagnose the problem right, then you're not able to come up with the proper solution. And again, maybe a softball question, but what does the Christian faith say that the ultimate problem is of mankind? Is it that we need more of the things that Wilson mentioned? Like, is that the primary problem? Is that we need more compassion and education and community and peace and healing, or is there a more primary problem than that?
Yeah, we need him, and then once we have him, his righteousness, however you want to say it, him in us, then we're able to actually produce those things in a way that can be lasting and can be true and can be effectual. Because I can be an atheist and I can belong to some kind of group on earth, and I mean, maybe other than the truth thing, depending on what that group is about, we can walk in all those things. To what end? No end. There's nothing there. There's no depth. There's no substance. There's no reward. There's nothing that solves the human condition. Right? We need him.
So
and
what,
then
so what
he
is,
makes those things.
What is the human condition that needs to be solved?
That's what Brent was talking about earlier.
Yeah, same thing we just mentioned.
It's that we're lacking.
Sinful and fallen and spiritually dead and unable to do anything to change that.
Which is why, Dwight, the world needs fixing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd come on here?
How cool would that be?
If we took him to Snowcap.
If I bought him Snowcap?
Yeah, we could offer him Snowcap for lunch.
Awesome.
That'd be cool to hang out with Dwight. I would love that.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. We'll have to come up with some hashtags on our post, so maybe it'll find its way to his inbox.
There you go.
I don't know. And I think we know the answer to this, but is Christianity primarily about making the world a better place? I mean, I think we all agree that the world could stand to be a better place.
Well, we would even say it's going to be.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean by that question, because I would say yes, it is absolutely about making the world a better place. The kingdom of Christ is going to be that restoration piece that we're all looking for. But I don't think that's where you were going with the question.
No. Like everybody has their own idea of what it means for the world to be a better place.
Right.
Sure.
And some people, why can't we all get along, right? Mm-hmm. Like world peace would be, it would be good to have, but we know where peace ultimately is going to come from.
Right? Well, even education, for centuries now in this country, that's been the buzzword, the solution for making this world a better place. Is we just need to educate people better, and what that means is we need everyone to think the way that we want them to think, right? And then things are going to be fine.
Right.
Yeah, it's just not true. But Christ, conquered all things so that he can fix what was broken, make a better world, make a better place.
Yeah. And the word for that is redemption.
Yeah.
Right. Everything's moving towards a state of fully being redeemed.
Yeah. I mean, our blessed hope, one of the things that we look forward to most is a new heavens and a new earth. You know what I mean? That place in which humanity dwells, is going to dwell, throughout eternity.
But I think we have even a lot of kind of groups within Christendom that would kind of make it their aim primarily to make the world a better place.
Well, this world, and that's why I was saying it depends on what you mean by the world.
Yeah.
So the idea that we're here to make this place as nice and as comfortable, and again, I understand that the desire for it. Right. I mean, I want a nice life, but yeah, that's not why we're here. We're here to make disciples, to fulfill the Great Commission, so that Christ, returns and sets up His kingdom.
Yeah. Well, and of course, as Christians, thinking that this is the truth, convinced that this is the truth, we know that that's the only way to make the world a better place.
Right.
Is by getting people Jesus. Right. Giving Jesus to people. So
people need to be
by being born again. By the nature of that, what that does is going to, produce deposits as far as something better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Into the world.
So. People need to be clothed and people need to be fed and those kinds of things, but they have a greater need than food and clothing and shelter and those kinds of things.
Correct.
And so, over throughout time and history, Christians have been the ones in the world to build hospitals and those kinds of things and try to meet those needs of the world. And some have probably done so as their thinking that that's the primary task, but others have done so
Right.
knowing that people have a greater need, and meeting these kind of temporal needs is a means to an end
Yeah.
to help people see the greatest need that they have, and that's Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, as Christians, we're trying to demonstrate the spiritual reality, the ultimate reality through our practical outworkings,
Right.
right? So yeah, you've got hospitals, you've got warming shelters, those practical things lead to, hopefully, why do you do this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
this is why we do this.
Yeah. And so again, it goes back to, if we misdiagnose the problem, then we're gonna misdiagnose what the solution to that problem is. And so, I think as pastors, that we're always trying to center people on the truth of the gospel, and who Christ is and what he's done for us, and that as we go out into the world, that we do so with kindness and charity and compassion, and sure, we try to meet the needs that we can, knowing that people's ultimate need is to come to know Christ.
Yep.
Yeah.
Roger.
Yeah. Christianity stands alone, as we've already talked about, in that it doesn't tell you what to do, that it tells you what has been done for you. And I think probably people of all religions, like our default is to just tell me what I need to do, right? Give me the list and let me check the things off of my list, or comparing ourselves to other people, saying, well, I'm better than this person or better than that person. But the claim of Christianity is that God has done for you in Christ that which you can't do for yourself. Maybe kind of as a closing question before we get into some Dwight quotes, why is that important that as Christians we're always coming back to what Christ has done for us? Why does that matter?
Give that to me again. I was reading a Dwight quote.
Yeah. Why does it matter that we keep coming back to what Christ has done for us, not what we do for him? Why is it important?
I mean, in the context of what we've been talking about, I'm not sure how to answer that, but in the for me, it's that idea of preaching the gospel to yourself every day, reminding myself that I can never earn his love. I can never do enough to keep his love. My standing in him is based on what he's done and not what I do, and so that's the heart of Christianity. It's what gives me hope every day that even if I blow it, and I will blow it, he won't leave me or forsake me. He won't divorce me, and so that's why the gospel matters to me as much as it does. I don't know if that answers.
Yeah, no, that's
what you were
what I was
talking about.
going
Well,
for.
oddly enough, that's where I've found the greatest success and progress in quote unquote being a better person for the people around me in the world, is by that reality, is by not trying to earn something or think that I can produce it, but by going to him continually, and knowing that he alone produces these things in me as a result of being in me. And so that's maybe the irony in it of what we're talking about, is he's given us ways that
That's good.
we pull up our bootstraps and we get to work. A little more compassion, a little more of this, a little more of that. And the truth is that I've never had more compassion for others or patience for others or desire for good for others than since I've known that he's done what he's done for me,
Right.
and that there's nothing I can do to add to that.
Right.
So
Yeah, we don't become compassionate because we're trying harder to be compassionate. We realize that Christ has compassion on us.
Yeah.
And as we get it, then it plays out as that then we have compassion because we've been given compassion. Right.
Exactly. The more I look at him and stare at him and marvel at his accomplishment, the more that good stuff comes out of me. Right. and that sounds weird, but it's absolutely how it works, which is why we're speaking to this the way we are. Like
Well, it's part of what it means.
his words are good,
Yeah.
but if we can move to that spot where we're staring at Christ and his accomplishment and his goodness for us alone, then we might actually be able to walk in some of this.
Right.
Yeah, it's part of what it means to be made a new creation.
Yeah.
Is what we couldn't be before, what we couldn't do before, all these things that he's talking about.
Yes.
We're not capable of. But
yeah,
but
Jesus
in Christ,
has installed
we are.
and produced things in us that we lacked in, including all these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's only because he did something, not us. You
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah, and the exclusive claims of Christianity matter because Christ is risen, because he resurrected from the dead. And I think sometimes we're afraid, to go out into the world with the exclusive claims of Christ because they're offensive. But the gospel is offensive. It doesn't need our help to be like, we don't need to be offensive as Christians. Like the gospel is offensive enough, without our adding to it. And so I guess my encouragement in just saying that is that, we shouldn't be afraid as Christians to go out into the world with the exclusive claims of Christ because he raised from the dead. Like we can go out into the world with those exclusive claims in the confidence that they're true because Christ is risen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Favorite Dwight Schrute quotes? You got any?
So just because we've been talking about what we've been talking about, I'll start with this one. There's too many good ones.
Right.
But all you need is love. False. The 4 basic human necessities are air, water, food, and shelter.
I love when he says false. False.
Yeah.
You can't read these
No.
without picturing him and the way he says it and his mannerisms, which is half of it. It's not just his quotes are great.
Right.
It's
The way
it's the way he
Yeah.
delivers his quotes, man.
And nobody else could deliver them quite the
No,
way
his character
that Rainn
is
Wilson delivers
so
them.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Do you got one, Brent? You got a favorite Dwight quote?
I like when he says, "You couldn't handle my undivided attention." That's one that
That
I've
was
always
one of
liked.
mine that I wrote down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's true. I mean, when you think about what he's like, you don't want his you do not want his undivided attention.
Yep.
The one that I love, and it's kind of long, but he says, security in this office park is a joke. Last year I came to work with my spud gun in a duffel bag. I sat at my desk all day with a rifle that shoots potatoes at 60 pounds per square inch. Can you imagine if I was deranged? It's just like, yeah, Dwight, we can.
Yeah.
Who brings a spud gun? It's
Dwight
just it's so good.
A spud gun. Dwight the beet farmer with a spud gun.
Oh, it's good stuff.
The one I have is whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And I don't do that.
No. And if they would,
So that's-
I do not do that thing.
That's the next one I was going to read, too.
I like that one too.
Yeah. Nothing stresses me out except having to seek the approval of my inferiors.
That's good.
Almost had that one too.
He's got one. I didn't write it down, but it's something about one of the weaknesses of women is has to do with relationships, and he kind of goes to this long thing, and he goes, "And weak arms." Funny dude.
Yeah, the writing on that shows for the characters
Yeah.
is just crazy.
I will say, as much as I like Dwight quotes, Michael Scott quotes are just far superior.
I would.
He's got so many good
I
quotes.
think I would go back to him as my favorite character, and I know that that's generic because he's the guy. But the truth is, no one makes you feel more awkward or really says sillier things than he played the part so amazing that he really makes everything happen.
Well, and when he left the show, it definitely didn't ruin the show, but it was lacking without him.
Yeah,
it
definitely
changed it. Who came in? James Spader for him or whatever.
Well, there were several
Yeah,
people,
there was
but yeah.
Will Ferrell had a stint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then on the other
Idris
end
Elba.
of the main guy, I like Kevin. Yeah.
Kevin-
I like Stanley. They
Kevin's
hardly say
right.
anything, but they're perfect appearances when they're
Creed.
used.
Creed is one of the
Yeah,
weirdest
you like
characters
Creed.
in
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw Kevin on Celebrity Jeopardy.
Did you?
And he's
super
actually
smart.
really sharp. Like he's way different than his character on The Office, and it was kind of weird that he was so different than his character on The Office.
Yeah.
And it kind of made me appreciate his acting on The Office. But yeah, he was actually a pretty sharp guy.
I need to start binging through The Office again now.
Yeah, I got another good quote from Dwight. He goes, "I don't have a lot of experience with vampires, but I have hunted werewolves. I shot one once, but by the time I got to it, it turned back into my neighbor's dog." That was just awesome. Oh, good stuff.
He says, "That's cool. Hey, you want to know what's even cooler than Triceratops? Every other dinosaur that ever existed." Like his sarcasm and the way that he would cut people down was just stinking hilarious, man. Yeah, he's a great character.
The
Funny
eyes
stuff.
are the groin of the head.
Yeah.
That's a good one, too.
Yep, good stuff.
Yeah, well, on that note,
Yeah.
anything else that we need to cover?
I think that about covers it all, Chad.
Yeah, all right. Well, why don't one of you fellas pray for us?
I thought we were going to sing Feliz Navidad to close it out.
Or we could do that.
I want to wish.
Go ahead.
I'm
away.
not going to
Take
do
it away.
that, no. Lord, thanks for today. Thanks for the truth claims of Christ, that we can count on them. Pray that the people in the world right now that are searching for answers might find the true answer. And we thank you for this time of year when we get to celebrate that you came to us. So bless the church services that are going on where the gospel's being preached. We pray that many people would come to know you through the services even that take place at the door here in the Pine this week. We're excited about what you're doing and that you've saved us, Lord. So thank you so much in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
And Rain Wilson, if you're listening, open invite to come on the podcast and hit up Snowcap for lunch.
Yeah.